They did not. I'm going to be really upset. Students are, because they didn't get the first part of the class. Okay, so I'm recording this tonight, and so I will upload this for my online students into my YouTube channel. But in my office hours, you can click on that link if I'm in a Zoom meeting, and you can show up in there and you can see what is being covered, or I can help you by you sharing your screen with me, or I can share my screen with you. And you don't have to, normally you don't have to load anything on your computer. Sometimes some Windows computers do make you load something. It just depends if there's a driver or something. But you do not have to download Zoom onto your computer to participate in my Zoom Zoom meeting. Okay. So if there's any time that you can't come up here, that is an option that you have. And the ones that are my online students, they may do that quite often. So when you click on that, it'll take you, like if they're at home right now and they click on this link, they will come into our live meeting. Okay, any questions about that? All right, so then you click on the syllabus here, and the syllabus, it gives the information where my office is, and my office hours are posted in here under instructor office. I'll show you that in a minute. That's my office phone number. This is my campus email. I like to get the email from the Raider one from you all, because I've had that .rose.edu since 1992, and it gets so much spam that if I don't individually add each student to it, sometimes it spams, it filters you out. And so to make sure that I get your email, always send it to the raider.rose.edu. It doesn't do that. So if you email me at the other one and you don't hear back from me in, say, 2 or 3 days, then probably it's lost in my spam folder. Okay, so in this course, I've changed the course description a little bit. No, this one didn't change. I must have not updated it. Okay, this one talks a lot about Dreamweaver in the course description. And what I told you at the beginning of class is that we're going to start out tonight with HTML, and we're gonna do some tutorials on HTML and CSS. And then we're going to build some simple web pages. That's going to be some of your assignments. But first, you're going to do some tutorials. And then we're going to use the CMS that we're going to use. There's more than one, but we're going to use, and I left the T off there. We're going to use WordPress. And if you've taken my social media class, then you've used WordPress. So you will be familiar. But the difference is that we're going to use the .org site, which lets you actually install the CMS on your computer. How many of you do? Is there anybody that does not have a computer at home? No? Okay. So we're gonna install it. It will be installed on these. I can't let you all install it on these. But then we will actually connect to a MySQL database that is part of WordPress. And WordPress is run by a language called PHP. And it's, again, a scripting language. It's not really a compiled language. We're not doing any compiled language. Does anyone have, what programming languages have you taken, William? So did you take... what's that? Oh, Swift. Do you know Swift? Okay. That's similar to JavaScript, too. So Swift is the Flash, the iOS program he can build mobile apps if he does Swift. Okay. So those are the things that you're going to get an introduction to. It's not that I'm going to expect you to be a quote programmer in all those areas. I want to give you an overview. So we're going to do some tutorials outside of class, and then I can answer questions about those things that you're going to be working on, okay? But I promise you don't have to be a Java programmer when you come out of here, or you need to have an overview of what it takes to really build a website. And people who really make a lot of money are full stack programmers. You ever heard of that? Full stack programmer. Anybody want to make a lot of money? I don't know. That's just kind of that's if you're really good, because in computers, you can do more of the things that you want to do. And if you're really good at it, sometimes it turns into that. But when I first started teaching here in '92, I thought I could teach anybody to be a programmer, but I found out that that's not always true, but that doesn't mean that they can't do something in other areas of computers that are just as successful to you.
Python was easy, but it was still just way over my head.
You did not. He liked graphic design and gaming. There's of course, a lot of. Is there anybody in here that doesn't play computer games?
That doesn't play them?
Yeah.
No.
Me either. My grandson, he's like all into it. Well, if you could solve problems on computer games, then you should be able to solve programming problems. That's really what programming is about, is troubleshooting, right?
Had we started the solo learn earlier this semester?
Yeah, well, we're going to do solo learn tonight.
Oh.
Yep, that's how we're going to start it this time. Okay.
I've started using that as like a backdrop for so many others.
Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge out there that you can have without having to take formal classes. So we're going to have 1 to 4 coding exams, which will be taken in the classroom, or if you take them online, you got to do ProctorU or go to the lab. So we'll talk about that later on. And it's basically just like we'll have an HTML one. We'll probably have one at midterm and then one at the end. Okay, so here are the things that we're going to learn in this class. Design a website with HTML, CSS. Design one using WordPress. We may do a little Dreamweaver project because I'm going to open Dreamweaver and use it as an editor sometimes. These are some of the other things that you'll do. Now, one good thing, didn't cost you any money, right? No textbook. Except for if you do not have the Creative Cloud, some people like to use that. If we do use a project in Dreamweaver, you can either do it in this lab, or there are free trials for each one of the Adobe pieces of software. My graphic designers, they have Creative Cloud because
a big discount as long as you're affiliated with the school.
That's right. It's only like $20 a month, and you get about 20 pieces of software. And there's new software all the time coming out. Adobe Premiere Rush is a new one that just came out for video. There's a lot of things that you get with the Creative Cloud. You also
would just use it for Photoshop and Premiere now.
Pardon?
I probably just use it for Photoshop, Premiere, and anything I need for other classes.
Yeah, well, Photoshop, you can actually buy just a Photoshop license, but it's really silly to do that because it's like let's see, I can't remember. It's only a few dollars, $5 more to have the whole thing. So, yeah. Okay, so those are the different things that we're going to be using. We do have access to a Google Drive here. Nathan, do you have a question?
Is there a Adobe Creative Cloud that can be paid in a 6-month period or something like that?
Well, I don't know what happens if you quit paying, because you sign up for a year, I believe, but if you pay monthly, so but you only pay what he said, $19.99 a month. And so if I'm not sure what happens in 6 months. You just stop, paying it. I don't know. Yes. Right. It's a subscription because you get updates immediately all the time. And when Adobe first came out, it cost us almost $1,500 per computer to load it on the computers in here. And then every time they came out with a new edition, you had to pay for an upgrade, be about $600. So now Adobe knew they were losing out because Microsoft gave their stuff away. their Office and all that, students have free access to Office 365. So anyway, they did this subscription thing, and it's pretty neat because your subscription you can have loaded on up to 3 machines at a time, and you can even change machines. You take it off of one, and you're not actually doing it from the web either. You download the software, even though it's a subscription. But every time there's an update, which sometimes are monthly in some pieces of software, even more often than that, it will tell you, but you have the option of updating. But it's such an advantage for students from what the original Adobe was. And you can do anything. It's the full-blown Adobe license that they have in industry. It's just that you're not, there's some kind of limitations. You have to sign in an agreement. I don't know what it is for sure. I can't remember. But here's the grading scale. And you do have an introductory discussion assignment that's worth 20 points. So, most of you that's been in my classes have already done something similar to this. We will have homework assignments, and they will be worth a total, not 100 points apiece, but a total of 100 points. The quizzes / test will be worth 100. The final project, you notice you can't pass the class without that final project. The final project is of course, what is this class about? A website. So we're going to build one different than like if you've used, when you took Intro to Multimedia, you did a front page of a website. How many's had that class? Michael, Hannah, Ethan. Okay. Oh, you're taking it now? Okay. So in that class, we do just a page either in like Weebly or WordPress or something easy. Okay.
Yeah, I think we, I honestly don't remember what we did.
What you used, I think Muse. We used Muse too.
Okay.
Muse, yeah. Okay. So attendance policy, if you've been in my classes before, I do record these classes. It's just that when you are in the hybrid, I assume it's because you do want a lecture class at least part of the time. So it's to your advantage to come if you have questions or whatever, but I will be recording these and they'll be available at that YouTube channel. I try to get them uploaded as soon as possible. Sometimes it's the next day. Submitting assignments. Okay, we're going to be submitting our assignments sometimes on the Google Drive, and sometimes they'll be in the assignment box. It'll tell you when I give you the assignment what you're supposed to do with it. But I think I did have you set up a Google Drive. If we didn't, we'll do it the first time I have an assignment due there. Communication with the professor. This is number one thing, especially in a hybrid class, we don't meet as often. So if you get 2 weeks behind, you don't know, it's not that you're just behind, you just don't understand what you're supposed to be doing. You know, it gets hard to catch up. So you need to be sure that you communicate with me. Just remember, in my class, there is no stupid questions. All questions are, I'm not saying I can answer all questions, but I will, don't feel like you can't ask anything. Isn't that right, guys? Been in my classes. Michael, Nathan, y'all guys. No, you can ask anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I can't answer it, hopefully I can direct you to where you can get the answer that you need. Okay, and there's also over here, as far as Canvas goes, there's a, when you go back over here to the home, you see this where it says need help. If you click on that, this is help with Canvas. So there's actually video guides, there's Canvas Studio student guides. So you can find about anything you need. There's also, if you click on this help button, look at all the different kinds of help. There's where your guides are. Also, they are they support Canvas 24/7. So you can do a chat if you get lost and you need some help, and they're really good on that chat. I worked with one of them for the faculty over the holiday, and they were right there. Now, eLearn support has to do with Rose State. And so if there's, say, an issue between D2L and Canvas, that's the support that you would get in touch with. But there is all the help that you need for all of this. Okay, and this is your Google Drive. And if your Raider email account is your Google account. So it will tell you here, you need to authorize this integration. So I have to sign in to my Google if I want that to be integrated. So I come over here. Oops, where did that go? I've always had trouble in this class with mail, Gmail. Doesn't come quite there. Sign in. You can go to your Google, D. Wilson. This is my Raider one. And when you share your folder with me, you have to share it with the Raider account, not the Rose account, or it won't connect me.
It might throw it in the spam folder.
Yeah. Okay. Oh gosh, it's doing this two-step verification thing. Well, it is pretty important nowadays, but a text message sent to, oh, it's already sent there, it says. Well, I brought my phone up here. Okay. I think I had to set that up, and I think it's pretty important. Okay. So once you get signed in, then where my thing go? Then I should be able to click here on my Google Drive, and it will open it up right there in Canvas. Now I can see all my folders that are set up. Oh, okay. So if you've been in my class before, you know I always have you set up a folder with the class name, the course name, which this one's MULT 2003, and your initials, not the fall and the spring, but, and then ask it to share with me. And that's where we'll, like here was my class last semester, there's students there. Okay, so let's go back up here. This is just a May. Okay, so very first thing, week one, well, let me go over the discussions first because I didn't do that yet. So there was the syllabus. There's also right here in the discussions, this we call it the virtual cafe, but it's a discussion group here that I will not monitor unless I see something needs answered in there. This is for students to communicate with each other. And so that's at the discussions. Also, there's one called Instructor's Office. And this one has my contact information, my office hours, that link to a Zoom meeting. There's the course syllabus again. If you want my contact information, you can also just click on this email. And it tells you that I try to, actually my response time is usually a lot better than 48 hours, but that's maximum. And then if you have questions, you can leave questions here in the instructor's office, or you can email me a private email if it's something that's confidential topic. Okay, and then the other discussion that I was talking about, here's the Google Drive setup right here, and it talks about that, is the intro video. Okay. Please create a video or a slideshow, and you can use Adobe Spark Video. If you want to use something else that you're familiar with, that's okay too. But Adobe Spark is free, doesn't cost anything. So if you don't have a Creative Cloud account, you can still do an Adobe Spark Video. There's a couple of other websites students like to use, Powtoons. I put one out there called Pixton, Pixton, last year, and that creates like a comic strip of your activity. So here, here's what I want you to do in your video or your slideshow. Talk on the video and introduce yourself. Explain your intent when completing your degree here at Rose State College. In other words, what's your goals? Has it changed since you started class? So like Williams at the end of his degree, did he start as a programmer, and what did it change? If it didn't, okay. So technology experience. This is important for me to kind of know. I did ask a couple of questions, but if you have coded a website using HTML and CSS, if the site is still on the web, provide a link and show it. Have you ever developed a complete website using WordPress other than what we developed in social media class? Have you developed a site using Adobe Muse or Dreamweaver? Provide any website links that you have helped to create. Is your degree option graphic design or web design? And I asked that somewhat. William, I know, is programming. So whatever your degree option is. Next, complete a post here where you answer just the technology questions. So you're doing the video and you're going to post the answer to these questions. So in the answers to these questions, you can either answer them in your video with a slide or whatever where I can see any websites or whatever, or you can do just an introductory video that answers these questions and you can answer these in a post. So you can do either or. And then you're to watch at least 2 of your classmates' videos and respond to their post. You can attach your video here or you can put it as a YouTube link, either one. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, so these are due. Did somebody have a question? No, you didn't. Okay, so these are due February 3rd, which is next Sunday night, and that's because that's when my AWs, no, next Sunday night, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks before they're actually due, but I would like to have them by next week because I'm going to look at some of them, and it really helps me in prepping the class to know everybody's background in technology. Okay. All right, so no questions about that. So let's go to assignment 1, which is going to be due by next Monday night at midnight. You see, that's the thing in the organization of the course, if I didn't go over that. But the way I like to run courses now, it's so much easier as far as due dates, because then this coincides with all online classes too, since class starts today. So for this week, it will go until midnight Monday night. So a new class starts on Tuesday morning, right? So unless I specify that there's a different due date, assignments should be due by Monday night prior to your class, okay? So if you have any assignments for the week, which we do for this week. So any questions about that? Due dates. Okay. One thing about Canvas that I haven't set up yet, I used to not even take off points for late assignments because all the calculations, but it does it for you. If your assignment's 2 days late, you can say take off 5% if it's 3 days. Okay. No, I didn't set it up. Okay, so sololearn.com. This is your first assignment. Is we are going to go over, and you can do this right now to set up your account. And some of you guys that were in Logic class, these 2 guys, I don't think anybody else, will have an account from in Logic class, programming Logic.
Python 3.
Sololearn.com. This is free. Learn to code for free. And so you have to create a sign-in, though. So you create a sign-in here. Oh, gosh. I don't have mine up here. It doesn't have my, oh, I see why. I have so many tons of logins.
Are we doing JavaScript or just plain Java?
Well, first we're doing HTML.
Oh.
And then we'll see. Let's see, this should be. Okay, I gotta see this here. Okay, I thought that was it.
So I noticed something on the assignment page. It says to put the shared link.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you how to do
Okay,
that.
I was about to say. 'Cause
No,
last
I'm gonna,
time
yeah,
you
we
sent
did
us-
the screenshots. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing it different. I found out there's a better way to do it. Okay, so when you get signed in, your page may or may not look like mine because I've already done some of it. But I want to go back. You can click up here at courses. Does anybody need any help? Everybody's here? Look at all these courses. Look at all these learners. Look at that. Okay, so we're not starting with JavaScript or any of this. There's an HTML fundamentals right here. This free course will teach you how to design a web page using HTML, complete a series of hands-on exercises, and practice while writing real HTML code. So we're going to click more here. And so here it tells you, our interactive HTML tutorial is comprised of carefully selected content. Let's see if that clock's right. Carefully select content, quizzes, and checkpoints to ensure that you earn as much as possible, while also having as much fun as possible. So this is accomplished through a series of entertaining exercises along with plenty of hands-on practice in writing actual HTML code. You will also learn the fundamentals of web design, collect colorful points, and compete with other learners throughout the world. Our lessons are informative and concise, our checkpoints are enjoyable, and your learning is guaranteed. Learn while playing and play while learning with our HTML tutorial, whether you want to further your career or simply gain a new skill. Now, there are many other tutorials out there. The one that I used to use, and this is one that I want you to always know about, and you don't have to click over there right now, but you don't have to log in or anything. It's w3schools.com. And the reason this is important that you know where this site is that the references to all of that are standard code are kept at W3 Schools. W3 stands for the World Wide Web Consortium. They are the governing body of the World Wide Web, but they don't have any way to enforce the rules. That's the only bad thing. But they are people like someone from Microsoft, someone from iOS environment, different browsers, the Chrome browser, all of these people get together and they decide what rules that each browser should have to operate under. Problem is, back when I first started coding in like 95 HTML01, there was not a standard. And so you could code in HTML, the exact same code, and open it in what back then there was one called Netscape. That was an old browser that we had here first. There's Internet Explorer. Every time you opened your code, it looked different on the screen because the browser played by different rules. And so what has happened through these years is that they came up with a committee to kind of say, okay, I agree there, this code should make it this look like this. And CSS style rules were not a factor back then, but CSS now is in version 3, and there are certain things that style the web. And what we're going to learn is that you used HTML strictly to change your fonts or to change the position of code on the screen. Everything was done in HTML. Well, there was a lot of people that didn't like how ugly the web was. Didn't have any pictures. It was just straight code, like old DOS programmers liked, just commands. And that's what it looked like. And so then they wanted to do more and more on the internet. And there was a set of graphic designers, but the first one, Dave Shea, he began to develop CSS. And if you go to a website called CS Zen Garden, I hope I got it right. I think that's right. We used to use his book some. This website has tons of different styles, but the HTML code is identical on every one. They change the appearance by changing only the CSS style. If you look at this code, this HTML, oh, I didn't want to download it. If you view the page source, it's going to be the same on every one of these styles. But you can make a page look so different. See the road to enlightenment? You see that it's all the same words, but they've used different images and different style sheets. And so people can say, hey, I want to create a style with that HTML. So you can download that HTML. And let me find where those links are again. And you can create a style and ask that it be submitted. Here's the menu down here. So here's another one. That one even has some audio on it. So all of this, you can create your own stuff. Then you can download the HTML file and the CSS file, and you can see how they did it. And that's the thing about the web. Code you can take from anybody. It's there free. It's just that you really want some of your own things. So if you see how, maybe you want to see how they're making that do that. Well, you can download the code and figure it out and put that on your site. Okay. So there you see all the different things here. These are other, let me see if I can find the other, there's other menus. Let's see. Oh, here's the designs. So here's the menu over here. So here's one named, a robot named Jimmy. So you see it still says the road to enlightenment. So what is this about? So all the text is the same. They've just made it look different depending upon, there's the guy who first started all this, the CSS stuff. So you might want to experiment with that whenever we start doing websites. So this is another area that if you're not learning, feel like you're learning enough at Solo Learn, you can go over to W3 Schools. We used to use something called Code Academy. There's also Khan Academy. You probably used it in high school. Khan, K-H-A-N.
I used it before.
Yeah, okay. So Khan Academy is another one. And those are ones that you just sign up for and they're free. The Code Academy, though, has gotten where it costs you to get answers to something. I can't remember how much.
Yeah, you weren't about that.
No, when they changed that. Okay, so here are the different modules in HTML. So for this week, you're going to do the HTML basics. And so if you click here and start, well, actually, there's an overview first, I think. Let's see.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay, here's where it starts. Now, if yours are not green, that's because you didn't do them yet. Mine are green because I did all of them. So if you click on HTML overview, you'll notice that there's only 4 little sections, and then there's a module 1 quiz. Now, at the end, you're going to do this, creating a blog at the end of it the very last in HTML5, you actually create one that is formatted really well. But the thing about Solo Learn is it has an editor and a run in there, whereas if we did it like if you can code HTML in a straight text editor like Notepad or like TextEdit on the Mac. But what your disadvantage there is there's no help at all. It's just like you got to type every bracket. You've got to go over to a browser to run it. And so it's a lot easier if you use an editor. And later on, once we get through all this, we're going to download an open source an open source editor called Brackets that's part of Adobe's open source. So it's an editor kind of like a Dreamweaver, but Dreamweaver costs money. So Brackets is an editor that we're going to use because you can code JavaScript, you can code all kinds of things in it. But right now, so what you're going to do first is you'll click on what is HTML. It gives you this little write-up. You can try it if you want to. You don't have to. If you already know that, you click here. You answer a question. What does it want to use to identify content? Tags. Let's see if I was right. Correct. If you're not correct, it tells you wrong, and you can get a hint. So you go through and see, here's what I was talking about that we're going to be doing. Modern web design consists of these things. HTML is used for the structure of the page. CSS is used for the presentation of the page. JavaScript is used for the behavior of the page. PHP or something similar is the back end, and CMS is what manages the content. HTML is easy to learn, so don't wait, dive right in. So you will do this section. Let me go back. And you'll take the module quiz. And when you're finished, I will know, because you can't do the next part unless you do that part. The only thing that you don't have to do is the challenges. But for this week, this is the longer one. But it's still only like 2 questions, 3 questions. No, they're very short. Okay, this one is where you start doing the blog project. And this one, try it yourself. If you click on this, you come over here to a coding area, and you can mess with this code, and it will run right there. So if I click run, there's what that code will produce in the browser window. So you could actually select all this code, copy and paste it into Brackets or into a notepad and run it, and it would give you this. Now, what Michael asked is that in the assignment, it says to share the link with me. Okay, so what you do is when you click Save As and you save the name of your code, you can save it, but you can't give it out to me. But here, so if you're working on it and you don't get finished with what you want to do, you can save it and it'll be up here. See where it says My Codes, and you can see your codes and what ones you've done. Now, the way to share the link with me is up here in the right-hand corner. It says share. And when you click share, oh, I guess I didn't save it a while ago. You have to save it first. Thought I did. Okay, save it. And then you click share. What?
There's a code playground.
Oh, why did that do that? Wait. I'm in the code playground. No, you don't have to do that. The other night, just last night, I shared it and I shared the link. No, the code playground just shows you other people's things. Hold on. Let me see. Baby. Come on, move.
Looks like the program's been updated.
Okay, let me see here. Save as. Maybe it's because maybe I have to make it public. I bet I have to make it public to be able to share the link. Let me see. DW 1 Save. Code saved. Okay. Now, I bet I had to put it on public. Okay, so this is the link that if I share it with you, and I don't want you to share it with one of these social media things. You have to copy it. And then, where's Canvas? And then what I tell you to do, it says put the shared link to the completed HTML here. Wait, does it not let you do that? Oh, there is. Okay. There's a submit button right here. Okay. So that's what you, when you finish, but it tells you to go to Solo Learn and complete the exercises and as viewed, which you don't have this is the assignment video, me doing it right now. So the one that I want you to finish, let me go here back to my codes. Okay. So let me go back to, already saved it. Come on, move. Okay. Now it should let me back to, trying to see how to close out of here. This should have made me go back there. There's a better way to do that. Okay. Okay, so once you get all of this done, the thing that you will give me the link to, and you have to do the Module 2 quiz, is right here, blog. To finalize our blog, we'll use a frame to embed a YouTube video. We'll also create a follow me section that includes links at the end of the page. Check out the final code. So here's the final code, and what you will do is it will be about you. So like if I run this one, this is what you learned to do, but this is going to have your information in here, okay? So when you finish, you will have, you already have the code here, so you don't even have to learn the HTML, but you need to know it to do what we're going to do in the future. But what you will turn into me will be a link to this final one right here. And so that's what will go in the Dropbox. But I wanted, well, here's what I meant. The final one is that one that I just showed you. Oh, you can use that same template and just change the content. You don't even have to create a new one. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, no, but if you want to create a new one, that really shows me whether you learned the stuff. This is what I mean by the final one, is the blog project, putting it all together, Nathan. This is in the HTML basics section. So if you complete the overview and you complete the basics, also you'll see at the top where it should say like shortcut. Okay, that's if you already know HTML. You can try to take the quiz, and if you're able to do that and you understand the HTML, then it lets you shortcut, I think, these two, I think. But then the HTML5, we're not going to do. We may do the introduction, but this is a little bit more advanced than what we're going to do right now. We're going to do it other time. So we're going to talk about, though, what you can get in HTML. If you want your certificate, then you can go through HTML5. Then you get a certificate to print out. Okay, so the thing that you'll put in the assignment, let me see what the challenge. Oh, that's just 9 questions. That's to see if you really know. And I said you don't have to do that. So the thing is, the link that you share with me will show me that you went through these, because you should know how to do it. But I'll be able to tell whenever we actually start coding too, because it's really important that you understand the differences in the different tags. Here's the basic structure. Every HTML document is going to have an opening HTML tag and a closing. Every tag it works like it's saying here, like the bread in a sandwich. Everything is in between the slices of bread. So every tag has an opening and a closing. And before there was standards, you could actually have some tags that didn't have a closing, like a break and an image tag. But now, for it to be structurally and semantically, the terms they use, correct HTML, they had to have a closing and an opening. So what they did on a break means go to a new line. See, with a word processor, you just hit enter and you go to a new line, right? Well, a browser doesn't do that. When you can type in the text into the text editor in going to a new line, but if you don't put a break in there, when it opens in the browser, it will all be on one line. We'll play with that, and I'll show you some of that. But like a break, now what they've started doing for a break is they'll do BR. I'm sorry, I'm doing that wrong. The BR is, and it puts a space in there, but they don't. Oh, I'm still doing that wrong. Wait a minute. Let me think about it a minute. Yeah, BR space slash. So instead of having an opening BR and a cancel BR, like all the other tags have, it has just this at the end of a line. And that is a opening and a closing. So there's a couple of other tags like that, but that's one of the main ones that you'll use a lot. And you'll notice up here you can go through a little faster if you think you understand it. But every top part of the HTML page, you have to have a head, which is where your title goes. And also if you have style sheets, whenever we get to those, they're put in the head section of your document. But you know, anywhere that you look on a page on the web, you can always right click and do view page source. And that's what you're looking at is HTML code. That's the HTML code that created this page. And you can do that on any page in the web. It's just that most of them are so complicated that you don't understand it yet. But you would be able to see, there's another thing that I have people download. It's called onto their browser. And this, I think, is in your browser. If you're in Chrome, you might have this little gear shift here, but you might not. It may just be on mine. And this is very good. This is for coders and developers because it will let you, I'm going to go over here to Zen Garden. I want to show you. Okay, when I'm on Zen Garden, if I go to this gear shift here and I say disable all styles, there's just the HTML code. And that's all you see. So if I go back, I take that off and watch this. If I go to another one of those pages, let me find the links where he is, next design. So now if I go like, say, to this one, okay, now if I go up here and I say disable all styles, look, I wasn't lying. The HTML is the same on that's not the HTML, but that's the text. So if I wanted to just look at this page source, now that looks a little bit more like the HTML that I can recognize because it's got headers, it's got paragraph tags, header tags. Header tags are part of structural coding. Like if you have a title at the top of a page, there are 6 header tags from an H1 to a H6. And can anyone tell me which is the largest? The H1, correct. The H6 is going to be the smallest. So the H6 you would want to use, but the difference between a header tag and a paragraph tag is that a header tag is always bolded, and it always goes to a new line without you putting a break at the end. So a paragraph, a paragraph at the end of a paragraph, it will automatically go to a new line too. But if you have a paragraph that goes lines and lines and lines, it will automatically just go to another line whenever it can't display anymore. But those are called block tags because that means they go to a new line. So those are things that you can play with. This, did y'all have this gear shift there on your browser, on your Chrome? No? Okay, it might let you download it. If you go to Chrome, because on your home computer, you might want to, because it's pretty cool what you can see with it. You can also do it with Inspect, like this Inspect right here shows you the code over here too and the CSS. That's another way that you can see what's happening here. But this is called Web Developer. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. If you go to, let's see, what's Chrome is Google. No, is that where it is? Google Chrome Extensions, I think it's called. Web extensions, yeah, right here. And this, then you put in the search, I think it's called Web Developer. It's been around forever. Yeah, this guy, chrispederick.com. This one you can add it and it'll put that little gear shift, and then you can also find images real easy and the links to them. So like if I went back to Zen Garden here, and I go up here and I put the styles back in, but it lets me just view the CSS styles too for that site. So there's a lot of things you can do there. You can even edit the CSS. There's something about images. Where's that at? Oh, up here, you can go where if you want to see all the images, you can disable all the images. You can hide the background images. You can do a lot of different things to kind of figure out what a site's doing. There's all these tools that validate the CSS and the HTML, which means that it passes standards, and they'll show you like accessibility. You know what accessibility standards are? The state sites have to be accessible for people. They have to have the websites should be accessible for the blind, for people that are hearing impaired. There's a lot of different things for accessibility on websites. And so that's part of CSS. So any questions about your assignment?
The solo learn and the intro video by Monday, right?
Yeah, now the intro video, I actually put a due date of February 3rd, but I would rather have it sooner than later. But I know you have other assignments too. So, but these are due HTML so that I can go over and kind of see how everybody does with that. And I know what we need to do next, because I'm planning on doing some CSS in Solo Learn next, but I want to do some coding with the HTML first before we do any CSS. Want to do some just basic stuff. And the thing that's at the end of here where you did your putting it all together, this is using an iframe that you won't use real often, but when you want to put a video up, it creates a little block of frame for you to put it in. And then I think it has you use a table in here too. Let me see. Isn't that what's in there? And you notice you can change this too to light if it's easier to see. Yeah, they do have you create a table. So they go over tables in there too in the basics. So, okay. Anybody have any questions? All right, don't freeze. Hope everybody brought heavy coats. Most of y'all probably just came after it was already cold, right? I've been here since 9 o'clock, so it was warm. I thought they're crazy. It's not even get that cold.
No, walking over here from housing was absolutely okay.
Yeah, it's freezing, isn't it? Okay, I'm done. Y'all are free to go.
Is anybody taking animation?
I took it last semester.
You take it next year?